I'm Adrienne Giffen. Welcome to Now You're Talking, the podcast. I believe real conversation connects us in a distracted world. One of the greatest gifts you can give your family and yourself is your presence. Because leadership doesn't begin at work, it begins at home. This is your space to pause, to listen, to reflect. Your journey toward deeper connections starts right here. Mackenzie Mitchel knows what it feels like to go from complete independence to suddenly navigating life as a partner, stepmom, entrepreneur, and caretaker all at once. In this episode, we have an honest conversation about blended family life, mental load, perfectionism, decluttering, and learning to let go of the pressure to create the perfect family. Together, we explore the emotional side of clutter, the invisible weight many women carry, and how self-understanding changes the way we show up for ourselves and for the people we love. Because conversation builds connection, and meaningful conversations often begin with the things we rarely say out loud. Mackenzie, thank you very much for joining me today. I don't think I've ever met a decluttering coach before.
Thanks. Well, thank you for having me too.
It's great. Whatever brought you to this place where you've created your own business around helping people to be more organized and less decluttered? Or less cluttered, cluttered.
It probably started ever since I was little. I loved organizing. I don't know why. It's probably some sort of weirdness that I have, but I've always just loved organizing and reorganizing stuff. And I feel like there is a little bit, I haven't been diagnosed or anything, but my fiance definitely feels like I have a little bit of OCD.
Right. But because you just think you want things in order.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's tricky because you're also a mom of a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And that in itself screams chaos. So especially in this digital era. So how do you cope with that?
Well, it was definitely very challenging at first. When my fiance and his 2 kids and 2 cats moved in with me about 4 years ago. It took a lot of adjusting, and they had never, when they moved in, Willow, who's the youngest, was 7, and then Balin was 9. And they had never done any chores before because John was always like, it'll be faster if I do it, so I'll just do it. And so when they came here and I was like, okay, well, we gotta start doing chores and stuff, that was a hard go to say.
Yeah.
And I definitely had to let go of some of my tendencies to have everything be how I want it.
Yes.
So I kind of had to learn to accept the good enough.
Yes. And up to this point, Mackenzie, had you lived by yourself so you could have everything as you wanted it?
Yeah, for about 10 years I lived by myself. And then...
Oh my goodness. And then all of a sudden you have a 7 and a 9-year-old and your fiance and 2 cats.
Yeah.
And then overnight your life changed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Boy, what was that like as far as your adjustment?
Definitely difficult. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Well, at first we did do a few weekends, here and there to kind of acclimate us, but it definitely wasn't, it was still bit of a shell shock when we all lived together. And because of some of the situations with John's ex, the kids live with us 24/7. So it's not like they ever really went away either. Just,
yeah.
And because they were at the age where they had already basically formed their own, how do I put it, like routine, I guess, and way of doing things.
Yes.
That when I wanted to do stuff, and like even with dinners and that, John did not want the kids to be forced to eat anything they didn't want. And not that I would have forced them, but it made cooking a lot more, I guess, challenging in the fact that I couldn't really cook what I really wanted to have, or I had to cook something separate for the kids.
Yes.
It ended up being like, because like when in my head anyway, like I had like the perfect little family image in my head where I would cook every night and like we would all sit around the table, but no, we eat at different times and I pretty much don't cook anymore. I just like, I'll cook for myself. Yes. And they'll kind of do their own thing.
Okay. Yeah. I guess there's a lot of adapting.
Yeah.
And being flexible as kids evolve, because that was a lot of change for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And especially because they were old enough to kind of understand what was going on. They were very upset with their dad that he was now with somebody else. And so they would like try to push us apart and stuff like that.
Yes. So
yeah, that took, and it was definitely an adjustment out to the house.
Yes, yeah. So because then you're bringing, two different perspectives of putting them together, and then the kids are right in the middle.
Yeah,
of that. So fast forward 4 years, what's it like now?
It's definitely better, especially with Balin. He was the one who was very adamant at like basically telling me to my face that I don't like you, I don't like the situation and stuff like that. But he's definitely a lot better. We get along fine now. Willow, she's better too, but like she is definitely more like just kind of keeps to herself and stays in her room. Like we'll try to like get her out and go places, and she's just like, no, I don't want to do any of that. But it could also be like she doesn't want to be seen with her parents either. So I don't know.
Yes, she's at that tricky age. So how do you manage screen time and, that sort of social media and all those dynamics?
I wish I could say that we manage it well, but John, and again, because they're his kids, I don't really have too much say in it, but he doesn't like to restrict them. And so they pretty much can be on their computers whenever they want, as long as they want, unless they've gotten bad grades or something, then they'll be restricted.
Okay. So you've got so much going on. Probably being in the decluttering coach is probably helpful for you to help declutter other situations. So share more about that, please, and about your business. And you said on your website that you have a decluttering playbook. What does that look?
Well, I'll say no one can see, but like it's like it has like bingo for like kids, like decluttering bingo.
Good idea.
Kids to do. And then just like some mindset blocks that people might get stuck on with decluttering, and just prepping for like a big decluttering day. Or there's like another strategy where you could just do like 15 minutes here and like another 15 minutes here. And so I kind of wanted to not focus on one specific like technique, I guess you would call it. So I kind of wanted to include a bunch of different stuff because people do declutter differently. And like, I'm one of those people where I like to tackle like a whole room at once and like just get it done and everything. But there's a lot of people, because of time constraints or just they don't have the motivation or anything else, like they get interrupted too much, they can only declutter like a little bit at a time. So I wanted to try to make it as universal as possible.
Okay, so what are some of the mindset blocks that would stop a person from decluttering?
Well, one main one is that like guilt associated with gifts and stuff like that, or like sentimental items. Like people put a lot of their emotion into certain items, especially like if that brought back memories for them. And that's great to have, but you also don't want like all of your items to bring back memories for you. And so it's kind of like you got to figure out which one is the like what is the thing that you want to keep and want to remember. Like you can still like I've had people like take pictures of some of the other things and then get rid of it. Like if it's a big item and they like, especially with kids artwork, like
yes,
some of those items are like really big, and so they'll just take a picture of it and like make a little album with the photos and stuff like that, instead of keeping like a bunch of big artworks around and stuff like that.
Right. Oh, I deal with that all the time. Still, I have a hard time letting my kids' artwork go. It's all upstairs in a drawer or leaning against the wall. That is a thing.
Yeah.
And how do people declutter differently?
Like I said, like some people like me, I feel like they can, like at least for me, I can tackle like a whole room, like decluttering, or like my whole closet. Like I'll just take everything out and go through it all in like a few hours. And like other people like to do just like a little bit here and there, like 15 minutes of this day and then 15 minutes this day. And I feel like it's also dependent on your like personality and stuff like that, that I've noticed some people with ADHD tend to do better with like the 15-minute here and like the 15-minute here. And also like people with younger kids do better with like the broken up decluttering rather than trying to tackle a single room at once.
And probably if you like decluttering, do you declutter on a regular basis? You do.
Yeah, my fiance hates that though, because sometimes I try to get some of his stuff out too.
Right.
Yeah, like I'll try to like sneak some stuff out that I know he doesn't use, and he'll be like, "I might need that someday." I'm like, "Really? No, I don't think you're gonna need it someday." Like he has like a stack of like wood pieces in the basement, and it's like this tall. And I'm just like, we don't need all this. And he's like, well, you never know. We might need. I'm like, well, if we do at one point or another, we can get something else.
Right. Yeah. Have you ever given away something that you regret?
Yeah, I have. Like, actually, a fair amount of times I've given away something. And then like a few like months or a little while later, I'll be like, I wish I had that. But like at the same time, I'm just like, I find something else to use. And I'm just like, I'll be upset for like 5 minutes and then like kind of life goes on.
Yes. Yeah. So it's interesting. So you are in flow when you're decluttering.
Yeah.
For me, as long as the door shuts and I don't have to see it, I don't care how cluttered it is behind the door. Where have you done any research as sort of where that comes from, where our perspective on clutter originates?
I haven't done any research on that, but that is interesting. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it must come from somewhere. And do you come from a family of very organized people or very disorganized people? Because I think it would be one or the other.
I wouldn't say that my parents were disorganized, but I would say that my mom's definitely not as organized as I tend to be. Yeah. Like she doesn't mind having stuff on her countertops and stuff like that. And I like completely clear countertops except for like my like KitchenAid and stuff like that.
Yeah. Purposeful.
Yeah.
Clutter. Yeah. So, what are some things that you can share? Like if you were to share your top sort of 3 tips for people who have got, that junk drawer that they want to get rid of, or years and years of things hanging up in their closets? What are some tips that you can share?
Well, actually, I guess the one thing with the junk drawer is I actually recommend that you do keep a junk drawer because
Thank you.
Not a lot, but some items, like, you really, like, they don't really have a spot other than, like, a junk drawer. Like I have, like, lighter and, like, screwdriver and batteries and pens in junk drawer because, like, we need them on the first floor and, like, we use them frequently. But, like,
Yes.
There's not really a designated space other than in the junk drawer.
Well, that's true. I'm feeling a little better about myself right now because I definitely have one or two junk drawers. So that's good. And so, okay, so junk drawer. Any other tips that are sort of simple to implement?
Well, with clothes, a lot of times you gotta, like, just figure out if you're keeping the item because you're actually going to wear it, or is it you're holding on to a life you previously had and that you don't want that to go away. So, like, I know, like, I understand it's hard, but at the same time, like, some of my clothes that I've decluttered, like, it's made me sad, but I've gained weight recently. I'm, again, trying to lose it for the wedding, but that's a different story. And so, like, I've given away some of my, like, more cutesy clothes because I was like, these don't fit me. Like, even though I love this outfit, like, I know I'm just holding on to it because I'm holding on to that previous version of myself.
That's interesting. I've never really thought about it like that. Yeah, that's very interesting. So I hadn't thought that decluttering has to do a lot with self-awareness.
Yeah.
So
more so than you would think, yeah.
Yeah, boy. When we were talking before we started, you talked about women, and it's okay to give yourself permission. Can you share a little bit more about that, please, Mackenzie?
I feel like with, especially moms in general, we tend to feel like we need to be the ones to remember everything, like remember when, like, the cereal gets low, or remember when the appointments are, or remember that the dry cleaning needs to be picked up. And we're so used to that role that and that's one of the things that, at least for me, is very stressful, trying to keep all of that in my head and all that organized. And I feel like we need to give ourselves a break and let other people take some of the mental load off of us as well. Like, start having, like, even just, like, writing it down and saying, like, this is what needs to happen on these days, and, like, assign other people some tasks to do as well.
Yeah, so easier said than done, isn't it? How do you do that when you're used to doing it all and you're used to being pulled in so many directions differently now?
Well, at least for me, it was like have it basically mental breakdown. Like, I'm just, like, randomly sitting in, like, a parking lot in a grocery store crying.
Right. Yeah.
And I also feel like, at least with my fiance and, like, some other guys that I've talked to, they don't really see what all we have in our heads that we're trying to keep track of. And so it's hard for them to realize that that's the overwhelming part. Like,
right.
And, like, especially, like, with the holidays and stuff like that, like, I want to make cookies for, like, the family and that, but then I get stressed making cookies. And then he's like, well, just don't make the cookies. I'm like, that's what I want to do, though. It's the other stuff I'm thinking about that's causing the stress. And then the cookies are just kind of the icing on the cake, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. No, that's such a, we're so wired differently. And just our expectations are so different, and things that we take on as being so important. You know, our partners may say, what are you thinking? Like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just I don't see the same sort of emotional connection, I guess.
Yeah.
To the cookies, as you say. Yeah. And so, yeah, that is so true. So you're saying to moms, it's okay to be disorganized. It's okay to, to not have to do it all. Can you just sort of share a little bit about that?
It's okay to admit that you can't do it all and to take at least baby steps to try to get some of the pressure off you so you don't have to try to do it all and then end up stressed and running around like crazy. And so maybe just write some of the stuff that's going on in your head down and do a brain dump and then say basically go to your fiance or husband or significant other and say this is all the stuff that's going on in my head. This is all I'm keeping track of. Can we figure out a way to at least divvy up some of this so it's not all on my plate? And
yeah,
I know that's hard. Even for me still, I've been basically trying to, or well, not trying, but I've been doing that with John for a little while. And it's still hard for me to not try to remember everything. Even with the chores, I'm oh, I got to remind the kids to do the chores. And then as I'm going down to remind them, then John's goes into Balin's room. Oh, you got to do your chores. I was oh, yeah, he can do that too.
Yeah, well, that's good. So yeah, just cutting ourselves some slack.
Yeah.
Along the way. So knowing what you know now and all the things that you've been through, Mackenzie, all sort of, becoming a mom and a cat owner and a partner under one roof, knowing what you know now.
Well, the main thing that I would probably do differently is try, or at least put not put as much pressure on myself or my family to have the quote unquote perfect family. I guess because I don't have kids of my own and because it kind of all came at once. Yes. I wasn't really able to realize what a family entails, I guess. And so I had an image in my head of what it's supposed or what it should be like. And because the reality didn't line up with that, then I was trying to force the reality into this box, I guess. Of what in my head it was supposed to be like.
Yes.
So I would definitely not put so much pressure on myself and everybody else to fit that mold, and instead just more so try to go with the flow and realize that it's also yes, it was very hard for me, but it's also hard for them. And it's to not be so pushy either in regards to what I feel like they should be doing, at least with schoolwork and chores and stuff like that.
Yes.
They already have their routines and their way of doing things, and then I came in and I was trying to change that, and so that also led to a lot of issues.
Yeah, so that's what you would do differently. What's something that you would do the same?
I guess what I would try to keep the same is just learn to appreciate the little moments that we have, and going to the movies with the kids or going to a bookstore or something. And just being in the moment and not trying to constantly think about the future and everything else. And I feel like I was okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, it is often those simple things that we can take for granted sometimes.
Yeah.
but it's they build up and they create a story unto themselves, those simple moments. And they're memories.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Mackenzie. May I ask you some questions off my board game Now You're Talking?
Sure.
And it is soon going to be available. I'm happy to say. Yeah. So what is it? So I'm going to ask you a question about your high school because most of us have it in common, but it seems to me that everybody's high school experience is so different. And so I want you to think about, what did you learn about yourself on your very first day of high school? Yeah, do you remember that? Can you see yourself walking in?
Nope, I definitely don't remember that. Man, like I can't even like really picture I can't.
Well, just think maybe the first week, first few, whatever, first month, or just like the first memory. But, what did you learn about yourself in high school?
I guess I learned that man, this shouldn't be this hard.
Yeah, but you probably haven't thought about high school for a little while. So I'm taking you back in time.
Yeah. That even if I'm not, I guess I learned that even if I'm not in like the popular group, that I could still have fun and enjoy high school. And like, it's not as bad as it seems to other people. But again, although I should preface that by saying that I went to an all-girl Catholic high school, so we didn't have to deal with boys or anything at this high school.
Yes. But you had your own group of friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And what food memory transports you back in time or across the globe?
It's funny. The thing that popped in my head is really weird. It was when I was in the Cayman Islands with my family, when we were we actually went there a few times, but like the first time we went there, I want to say like 7 or 8, and they had a restaurant that was attached to the hotel we were staying at, and it was a nicer restaurant, and like the butter was shaped like a stingray, and that has always just stuck out to me. That's probably like not what you were thinking.
Oh, isn't that interesting? But I believe in those things that come into your mind at that. And we were just in the Cayman Islands, and I was swimming with the stingrays. It was quite an experience.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. Did you too?
Yeah.
Oh, that butter memory encompasses so much more.
Yeah. And like, it's funny, because with that, like the first year I went there, I was again like 7 or 8, I can't remember. And I loved swimming with the stingrays. And then it was literally like the next summer we went back and I was terrified of them. Nothing happened that first year or anything.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, for some reason I was terrified of them that next time.
Huh. Yeah, well, it was a bit daunting at first, but amazing as well. Yeah. What?
I guess organizing? Is that an answer?
That makes sense. Since you've built a business around it and it started when you were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. One more.
Okay.
Let me see. What situation was obvious to everyone, but not to you? I'm giving you some tough ones today.
Yeah. When I was with one of my exes, his name was Wes, and actually I probably shouldn't have said his real name, but he lives in a different state. Okay. But he was, how do I put it, verbally and sometimes physically abusive and constantly put me down. And yet, for some reason at that time, I was convinced I was in love with him. And my friends and family basically were saying, like, I don't get it. Like, why are you putting up with this guy, so to speak?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, what did you learn about yourself in that situation?
I guess that I don't need to, that I should be with someone who appreciates who I actually am instead of who I like trying to force me to be somebody else.
Yeah, great. Well, that was a well-lived lesson that you learned.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mackenzie, for sharing that information, words of wisdom that you can share with other parents or entrepreneurs, business owners like you. What's the first thing that comes into your mind?
Well, with other entrepreneurs, definitely just get started whenever you want to, like, because the perfect moment's never going to come. And I have spent, or basically kind of wasted, years trying to learn like everything that there is to possibly learn about online business and everything, and basically come to realize that it's impossible, which you would think would have been obvious, but no. I took so many courses. I've spent so much money doing all this stuff, and I am basically no further than I was like 2 years ago, except now I have like all this money spent on courses that I could have been spending on like programs to help get my business started more, or like Facebook ads or something like that to move the needle more than just spinning my wheels in the same spot. If that kind of makes sense.
And I would believe that. And I also believe that we go through these things for a reason. And would you be in the same place had you not taken those courses? You know, and I'm not saying just from a practical perspective, but emotionally and courageously, would you be in the same place?
No, I probably wouldn't be like, but like, I guess I shouldn't say don't take any course, because like at least get a generalized idea of like follow someone who is where you want to be. Yes. But don't try to follow everybody.
Right. Yes.
Because then you'll just get some mixed messages, and then you'll get confused. And I was basically banging my head against the wall for years.
Yeah. But, you know, here you are. What was the moment that you had that realization that you were going to actually put yourself up there?
Sadly, it was probably last year. And I like started or at least attempted to start my business a while before that. I don't know if there was any specific moment. It was kind of just was done with, like, I had even like redid my branding and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is pointless stuff. Like, why am I even doing this? And then like, I kind of just found found a direction, and it was just like, I'm just going to do this. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I will course correct or change something or do something else. But until I know if it works or not, then I'm just going to.
But you had the courage to go out there doing something that you're passionate about. Yeah. So although that's great. So your words of wisdom to other entrepreneurs is just do it. Just get out there and just get it done. Oh, that's great. Well, Mackenzie, thank you very much for being so transparent and for sharing some pretty difficult stuff.
Thanks.
Appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on here too.
Today's episode with Mackenzie was a reminder that self-understanding often begins in the middle of real life, in the stress, the adjustment, the overwhelm, and the small moments that slowly teach us who we are becoming. From blended family dynamics to the emotional weight of mental load and perfectionism, Mackenzie shared what it looks like to stop forcing life into a perfect picture and instead learn to meet people and yourself with more grace. Because conversation builds connection and leadership begins at home. I'm Adrienne Giffen, and you've been listening to Now You're Talking. If something in this conversation spoke to you, follow along on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Instagram, and subscribe or leave a review to help others find the show. Meaningful conversation can change how we see ourselves and each other. That's why I created Now You're Talking board game, a simple way to spark real conversation. If you'd like a way to start conversations like this with people in your life and be part of the movement to get people talking again, you can join the waitlist for the game in the show notes. Let the conversations begin. Now you're talking.
I'm Michelle Abraham, and we are honored to have Adrienne Giffen's Now You're Talking podcast on our High Vibe Podcast Network. For more high vibe shows like hers, head on over to highvibepodcastnetwork.com and grab your free gift from our gift vault from all of our hosts. Until then, stay high vibe.